a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Dave X Media.
Welcome to the restricted section, where we are finally done with Harry Potter. What?
Who?
Exactly. Thank you, Mary Clay. If you haven't done the reading, it's too late. It's over.
The test was last week.
Failed. Nothing.
Also, you're naked.
We are here today to talk about Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, the Epilogue, 19 years later, which everyone really wanted.
Whoa.
In which... It's 19 years later, yeah. I'm your host, Christina.
I'm Leela.
I'm Haley. I'm Mary Clay.
I'm Brooke.
I'm Andrew.
And we are sitting around my dining room table. Remember, guys? Remember how much this is the worst thing?
Like the days of old, we might as well shit in the woods.
The fact that anyone stuck with us through this process is shocking.
Yeah.
There was only like 5 episodes recorded this way. I do believe it's 5 too many, but...
Yeah, COVID actually was just like, we started COVID. We're admitting it now. Tina didn't want to do the editing anymore, and we had to put it online, and so we did create and release COVID. Sorry, everyone.
Thank you, Haley. And yeah, I do feel comfortable getting canceled now for that. I'm comfortable coming clean about that. Yeah, here we are.
I remember when we started recording that and you started setting everything up, and I had been doing podcasting before you, and I didn't have it in my heart to tell you this is a terrible idea.
And some lessons you just have to learn for yourself. And learn it I did. Because watching the Audacity waveforms before I just simply had to minimize the window today almost gave me a heart attack. So whatever you're listening to, I'm sorry. But it's a short chapter. It was 11 minutes. How many pages could it be? 5?
If that.
It is 6.
My God.
Fine. It's fine.
Surely the nostalgia's worth it.
It's worth it.
And I will say, aside from the audio nightmare aspect of this type of recording, the vibes are great. It's a good time. So there's that.
Yeah, we're all drinking together.
Just remember this, future Tina, when you're trying to edit and upload this episode.
How great it felt.
How great it
sitting here with
feels.
you.
It was very fun and happy.
We're all
How much you love your friends like Neville Longbottom does.
Yeah.
I like to think I'm a bit of a Neville Longbottom type.
A little bit. Like,
I would leave the rebellion.
Neville doesn't have nearly as much riz as you, but...
True.
I think he might have a little bit more riz than we give him credit for. Anyway, he's so not in the show. Oh,
Yeah,
he is in the show.
He's mentioned. He's named
mentioned. Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah.
We start with a stark reminder of global warming.
It is currently like November, December, and it is warm outside.
And it's like, the 1st of September was crisp. You could see breath in the air. And I'm like, September?
Every day I wake up and put a sweater on, and every day I overheat.
Yeah.
And end up walking around in my bra.
Like, I just have to firmly remind myself that London is significantly higher in, kind of Canada, Maine level from where we are in the balmy subtropics. But also, I feel like this is ambitious for actual 2017 London, even.
September the 1st.
Yeah.
You just escaped August.
Yeah, I remember a couple first days of like fall semester in college for some reason being like whole new season now and putting on like knee socks and just being in absolute agony by the end of the day because that's a Norfolk summer right there. Not Norfolk in the UK. This Norfolk, Virginia. It's warm there. Yeah, so apparently autumn has arrived suddenly Is that what it says? Yes,
Yeah.
it is. It does.
It seemed to arrive
I know.
suddenly.
Again, these are my notes from 18 months ago. Harry, Ginny, and their 3 kids are going to catch the Hogwarts Express. Let's talk about the fact that Harry and Ginny are married.
And they have the 2.5 kids and a white picket fence, apparently.
They literally do have 2.5 kids.
Yeah.
One of them's really little.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any thoughts or feelings about that relationship lasting from like 15 into eternity?
Well, also, let's allow us to do some math here for a second, because this is 19 years later. The last book ended when they were 17,
Yeah.
and their current son enrolled in Hogwarts has been there, let's say, 1-2 years of Hogwarts. Oh, they said that they wrote him 3 letters last year. So let's say he's done 1 year of Hogwarts, which is horrifying because that means their first 2 kids were a year apart. That's bad for your body.
It's bad for your body.
And that means that they had their first kid at 24.
I actually did the math based on Teddy Lupin's age and no later than 23. Based on his age, because he is I suppose, at eldest, a senior.
Horrifying.
Yep, truly horrifying.
It's not as bad as it could be.
It's not, but also, he's Harry Potter.
Yeah, no, on the one hand, the wizarding community, and I've said this before, but there's a very definite vibe of small town culture going on there,
Yeah.
and it's you do marry your high school sweetheart straight out of graduation, in small towns sometimes. So that it doesn't feel unlikely to me. At the same time, I remember reading a take about this years ago that stuck with me because I think the reason this epilogue feels so unsatisfying to the original...
Okay, the wine poured a little louder than I thought it would.
We just acknowledge it's going to sound to everyone like I just started taking a pee. That's what people are going to assume.
There's also
like
the cat fountain running in the background, too.
That's not going to pick that up, that's fine.
I feel like it sounds really cunty, which is very funny.
I do just want everyone to know that I did not pour that directly on the tablecloth. That's a deep cut, who remembers?
Hey, me! That was the day I almost choked.
Oh,
So what was the poignant...
Okay, the point was that, the millennials that grew up reading this series, as it was coming out, this epilogue was particularly insulting because it's 19 years later, they get the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids, and their kids are going to private school, and everything's great, and they're all cousins and friends with each other. And for us, that is not what happened. Certainly
the
not
housing
within
market
that
crash.
time. Yeah, certainly not within that fucking time frame. So it just didn't feel like they didn't. It felt like they were us when we were growing up and reading the series, and then we grew up and they grew up to be actual adults, and we're still here.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I just remembered, and I thought it was important to highlight that we are reading the very first piece of Harry Potter that I ever read.
Oh my
which
god,
is
the epilogue.
the epilogue.
I forgot that story.
Because it came out, and I wanted to know, well, does he live? And I picked it up off of someone's bed during camp or whatever that week. And I flipped to the end, and I read, and then Harry and Ginny held hands with their children, Severus and Albus, and I was like, the fuck?
We'll get there. We'll get there.
And I was like, well, clearly something happens between, I don't know, Prisoner of Azkaban.
Between the beginning of the series and the end of it. I think my problem with Harry and Ginny is, based on the information we have, and maybe this is just the place I'm in my personal life right now, I don't believe Harry was ever had a reason to go to therapy, to work on himself emotionally, to learn how to communicate, to learn how to love despite his traumatic childhood. I think that given what I know, which granted of the 19 years is very little, I don't think that they're gonna last.
I'm sorry, did you miss the part where he just became a cop? I thought that was dealing with it.
Well, I think it goes back to what Haley said. They have met literally every other magical person within a 500-mile radius.
Yeah.
And so you have to pick and choose, and that's
or just get a muggle used to the idea of magic, like just have to come out while already in the relationship.
Proposal. Harry Potter is quite famous. He also has a lot of money. Magical Bachelor, starring Harry Potter.
Ooh.
That could be a lot of fun. Import them from all around the world.
I don't think Harry Potter is an interesting enough man to lead a season of The Bachelor.
Have you watched The Bachelor? Do you think those men are interesting?
I'm specifically thinking of, I know there was a Bachelor recently who thought mulled wine was mold, like MOLD, and didn't know the difference, and he was like, and the producers were finally like, you know it's mold, like MULLED. And he was like, it doesn't have mold in it? And
I mean, depending on how old it is and how improperly it was packaged.
Oh my God. And so that's my impression of all of the Bachelors.
But that statement just proves that Harry would be a perfect bachelor.
Yeah, he fits right in.
Harry would do the dates that they do, the one-on-one dates. He'd be like, for this date, you're all gonna fly on broomsticks for the first time, and I'm gonna pick for my one-on-one the chick who's best at the broomstick.
For the prize, he would then take that chick to his parents' graves.
No! That's Hometown. Someone doesn't watch The Bachelor. That episode is called Hometown.
Hometowns, he's like, funny thing about these graves, it's also where I had a realization about the Deathly Hallows.
It's also where I got attacked by a dead lady snake.
Yeah.
Anyhow, a lot of history here for me.
And then he just stares into space for 20 minutes.
I feel like more likely is like, okay, for the first date, ladies, you all come and watch me play Quidditch. There was by myself.
I don't remember if this was The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. I don't remember whose season it is. Sorry that I've watched enough of this to keep sustaining this conversation. But there was one date where they drove out into the desert, and the date was to scream into the wilderness.
That's a great date.
I think Harry needs that.
He does. It's a bit intense.
He's like, I'm gonna do my favorite activity from when I was 12. We're gonna go to the Forbidden Forest to commune with spiders.
And then take a joyride in a flying car that does not like us.
To your point, Tina, though, as we know in this world, there's 3 occupations, and those are wizard teacher, wizard cop, and wizard stay-at-home mom.
And
entrepreneur.
journalist.
It's entrepreneur,
Yep.
government, and teacher.
But there is no wizard therapy, so...
Oh, yeah, true.
Wizard
We've never met
medicine.
him. I never met a wizard therapist.
I will say that Harry, on his own, seems to have, at the very least, in this chapter, broken some of the cycle of keeping secrets just to keep secrets. Because, remember book 1, when Ron was just coming into Hogwarts, despite having how many brothers? Having gone before him, being like, yeah, Fred said I was gonna have to fight a troll to get sorted. And Harry's just like, it's a hat, and you can ask it what you want.
Yeah, so you're saying that he's a little bitch that ruined kayfabe. I get it.
What? I don't... With you, Andrew, it's always do I ask what he said, or do I just...
I hate that I know
Am I
what
the
you're
only one who knows
talking
what
about.
kayfabe's the thing in the 80s with wrestling where pro wrestlers they never stopped pretending
Look
they
at
were
my
pro
face.
wrestlers?
Is this the face of someone who knows about 80s pro wrestling?
Could be.
It's not.
If you apply yourself.
No.
This is an audio format, Christina.
Listeners, look at my face.
It is not the face of someone who knows about 80s pro wrestling.
You got a face for radio.
I got a face for Bob's Burgers trivia that goes nowhere. Okay, so, yeah, James is teasing Albus. Okay, stop. Because in my notes I wrote, James is teasing Albus, and with a name like that, I don't blame him. Okay, so James, what's his middle name?
Serious.
James Sirius Potter. That one's alright.
Sure.
It's not my favorite. It's putting a lot of pressure to be a rugged asshole on one little kid.
But he seems to be living up to it. He seems like a little shit.
And no one, Harry Potter aside, if you met James Sirius Potter, pretty cool, completely normal name.
Yeah.
Kind of eclectic middle name. And then there's Lily
Luna.
Lily
Is
Luna.
that really her name?
Yes.
Lily Luna.
I hate that. Does he say it?
Lily Luna.
I think it's like in the extant materials of like.
Yeah, that's all extras. Because it's the same thing with James. We don't learn
it's true.
James's actual middle name either.
Okay.
Yeah, we only got
That's-
Albus's middle name.
Lily Luna.
Luna's
okay.
even weirder because Luna's not dead.
Luna is probably delighted though.
Oh, absolutely. But of all of every other one of the names are dead people. And then it's like, and the only other significant woman in our lives, because the woman who created this book hates women, Luna.
Yeah. Can I recommend Lily Muriel?
That's what I was basically saying.
Oh, really?
Ginny, after having any of these babies, was like, what if we use one of my family's names?
No, you don't have any trauma. Go sit down, Ginny.
I mean, I'm sure she has a little trauma.
I had a brother that died.
No.
No, we gotta save that for the twin to name his son, which he does.
Oh, yeah.
Horrifying.
I'm sure that's a
That's
good
so
relationship.
sad.
Yeah. Okay. So also, I'm in a couple name roasting groups on Facebook. A lot of fun. And what I would say is too many L's. Say it out loud 3 times. Lily Luna Potter. Lily Luna Potter. Lily Luna Potter.
Like,
it
how do
loses
you-
all meaning. It's Looney Tunes stuff.
How do you yell at that kid?
Lily Luna. It's like,
Like, you gotta
what does it
consider
remind
that.
me of? It's like giving like bibbidi bobbidi boo.
Yeah, it's like la 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 la.
Andrew.
Lily Luna just sounds like someone who would like sing at you on the streets of Nashville. Like,
Oh, so Leela. The L's carry.
Oh, okay, great. So, Albus Severus Potter.
Oh, God.
Let's call him Al. Al Potter.
They
Okay,
do
that's bad
call him
too.
Al. They
Al-
do call him Al.
Al Potter.
Al Potter.
Albus Sever. Never would I ever. Which is okay? Let's go around the circle. Which is worse, Albus or Severus?
Albus?
Severus.
Severus.
Severus is worse, but Al would sell you insurance. Al Potter.
I also think Severus. One time I made, like, when I was teaching myself Photoshop, I made, like, a Mortal Kombat edit where it was, like, the characters come on screen and they're like, Severus! That's what that sounds like. That's not a person.
Well, Voldemort's dead now, right? So they have to find some way to traumatize their children because there's no way they experience so much trauma in their childhoods, and they're like, we just want them to have what we had growing up.
Hey,
And so
not to bring so much of my own
terrible
history into
names.
this, but Harry's emotional distance is going to do a lot of work in that department.
At this point, I would love to just see a Key and Peele sketch of a teacher at Hogwarts trying to get through the roll
Oh
call.
my god.
and every name is like a dead hero from the wizarding world. Because it's the next generation.
Nymphatora.
Yeah. Sprinkled in with Victoire. Victoire.
If one of y'all says some silly ass name.
Oh, you mean like Scorpius?
Yeah, an
That
actual.
kid's definitely not evil.
So he definitely like used his connections with Rita Skeeter to like celebrate the dead, right? Like there's no way that Severus Snape didn't have a public redemption arc via Harry Potter's manipulation of the breast.
I think the thing standing in the way of that is that Harry still just really hates Rita.
Okay, Rita Skeeter aside, I do think that would probably be in order. I also think that the Daily Prophet might be like a national newspaper, but I do think when Harry Potter's children are born, they probably would have printed a notice saying the full name, and it's like, we need a connection from A to B on this one.
Yeah, I feel like the Daily Prophet definitely has society pages, like an
Yeah.
old-timey newspaper.
Yeah, oh yeah, the marriage of Harry Potter and Ginevra?
Ginevra.
My brain said Winaj, and then it's panicked. It's not Winifred.
Again, Winjinin.
I have it in my brain somewhere. It might be in this chapter. I wouldn't know. I didn't read it.
Except for that one time at camp.
Except for that one time 14 years ago. I have it in my brain.
I can't even get mad. Haley was late to the last recording, and I was like, can't even get mad. It's over. Everything's over. I can't get mad at any of you.
I have it in my brain somewhere that Harry insisted on Snape's portrait being hung in the Hogwarts, in like the headmaster office, like along with the other headmasters. So I would imagine somewhere in that campaign is when like the public redemption of Snape might have happened.
Okay. Not in this chapter, but he does mention to his son that he was named after 2 headmasters of Hogwarts. Which is kind of how I feel like when people are like, Hollywood Cemetery has 2 presidents. Or 3, depending.
Because explain the rest of it to people who don't live in Richmond, Virginia.
Because for people who don't understand our history.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Who? Haley? What? Anyway.
Go, bro.
Because we do, in fact, have 2 U.S. presidents buried there. And we also have Robert E. Lee buried there, the president of the Confederacy.
Oh, no, that was
Jefferson.
It was Jefferson's name, but still
Right.
boo. Yeah, Robert E. Lee was just a nice guy who didn't want to fight against his family, don't you know?
Yeah, I've heard that story before. He said, "No, I can't turn my back on my brothers."
Anyhow, I feel like it's a president of the Confederacy style headmaster of Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Did he do it during a horrific rebellion period of evil? Yes. Was it technically correct? Sure.
Was he installed by a weird evil dictator?
Sure. Yeah, I wonder what the governors of Hogwarts, who were a really big problem in Chamber of Secrets, I wonder
Disappeared.
what they were doing during this whole book. Okay, so
We've not gotten through the first paragraph.
because the first paragraph has names in it. What are we supposed to do? Not talk about the names. So I think Albus, like, if Harry Potter aside, if like a beige mom named their kid Albus and was like, we're gonna call him Albie, we're gonna call him Al, I'd be like, fine.
Yeah, that's kind of cute. Albie is kind of cute.
It's kind of cute. Yeah.
Bussy's not.
What?
You know, Bussy.
Somebody named their kid Bussy?
No, I'm just saying, if he's going to be Albus, you've either got Al or
He gets to middle school, Bussy is going to be on the table.
Oh my god, that's what all his friends call him, and then they're like, no homo, but it's always a little bit of homo.
Yeah, but like they can't say it without saying Bussy.
It's like the most homo you can get. Really.
Just call him Bus, and they're like,
no.
like the night bus,
Potter bus,
the only bus in town. Okay, so they go on to platform 9 3/4. I just really hate this epilogue. They're looking for Ron, Hermione, Rose, and Hugo.
And it's like 2017, and you would think, all right, Ron and Harry both learned to drive, apparently. Okay. So,
well, first of all, this is not 2016.
Yeah, tell us the.
I looked up the year that the Battle of Hogwarts ends. This is 19 years later. I believe it is 2017.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, I remember this.
I was looking for a publication date.
No, this is like, canonically, it's 2017.
No, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, and like just. They would have at least tried to get cell phones at this point. And, like, it could have been fun. It could have been a fun detail if, like, as soon as they get onto the platform, like, Ginny's on the phone with Hermione, and it's like, wait, we're getting the...
Okay.
Damn it freaked out.
Here's what I want. I want Ginny to get on her cell phone and go... Ron, where are you? Just like Ron did in whatever book. Just like none of them know how to use a fucking cell phone.
Damn, Haley, that just made me realize that like the iPhone existed in this epilogue. That's so insane.
Oh my god.
Well, it existed, but they were still pretty new. Like, I think at this point...
No, it's 2017.
Oh, but no, but when it was written, they would have still been new. That's what I'm saying, is like, it would have only been like 2007.
She wouldn't have known that they were here to stay.
Yeah, I would have still had my Virgin mobile phone. Like, that was not great as a phone. So, like, I can't imagine...
Oh my god.
I feel like Ron's a clamshell man even in 2017.
Let's all say, just real quick, what phone we had the year this came out. Okay, this was 2007. I had a Crazer, a blue Crazer with star stickers on it. Anyone else?
I don't know. I had a fucking flip phone that could only
I
call.
don't think I had a phone at this point.
Haley didn't have a phone. That tracks.
I was sharing a flip phone of some sort with my siblings.
Okay.
Yeah, same deal. Shared a Motorola Razr with my sister.
Okay.
So I started off with the Virgin Mobile generic flip phone, but by the end of the year I had the Sprint Mobile Katana, which was totally not a rip-off of the Razr.
Okay. how do you remember that?
It's just he's Andrew. He's got that way in his brain.
Okay.
I will say the opening the first thing we hear Albus saying is I won't be in Slytherin, which reminds me so heavily of Peter Pan, because that's the opening line of that play is the littlest kid runs on stage and goes, I won't go to bed.
I was wondering what that was reminding me of.
That's what it is. I hit it every time and I'm like,
a lot of adorable children throughout literature have been named Michael, and I remember all of them because I have a very cute brother named Michael. Yes, so what I gathered from the discourse about the houses in this epilogue is that no one has learned anything, and it still is a huge fucking deal, and Ron is like, I'll never forgive you if you get into Slytherin, and it's like, whoa, man!
He also says that their grandpa will never forgive them if he marries a pureblood.
That's fucking crazy.
That's in the wrong direction, sir.
And Arthur would, I truly believe Arthur would be like, Ronald, absolutely not, what the hell?
Yeah. Also, aren't the Weasleys pureblood?
But that's the point, is that Arthur has always, like, I almost said fetishizes muggles a little bit.
I feel like Arthur is probably inordinately proud of Ron for marrying just, like, the most muggle-born girl in the world. Like, just really happy to have, first of all, a primary source on muggle shit, finally. Mm-hmm. But, like, fixates on it a little too much.
How many hours... By the time, 19 years later, by the time of this epilogue, how many hours do you think have passed with Arthur and the Grangers discussing dentistry?
So many.
Oh, gosh.
And you know what? They are both equally enthused by the conversation.
Yeah.
But I also feel like the Grangers... I feel like they like it, but they also get sick of it because it's their day job. So at, like, Christmas and stuff, they'll pass each other and be like, hey, honey, it's your turn with Arthur. You know, I'm going to refill my wine.
Did their minds get fucked up? Did I miss that?
We don't learn.
Okay. That's a nice little theory you have there then.
Well, they refer to Arthur as Granddad Weasley, so we have to assume Granddad Granger is what they call the other one.
Let's hope.
I hope
Granddad Granger lives at St. Mungo's next to Gilderoy Lockhart.
Oh my god!
No, Andrew, they stayed in Australia.
That is the theory.
So, interesting thing about the name Rose. I don't know if it was just me. I feel like we've talked about this on the podcast. There was a period of time where I feel like every girl around our age wanted to name her daughter Rose upon growing up.
We may have spoken about that on Burn Before Reading, actually, because I went through a big Rose phase personally. Same. I have characters named Rose, Rosalie, like a lot of those variations. It really is. And then also in my name roasting groups that I'm in on Facebook, every time you bring up Rose, they call it a filler name.
Interesting.
It's like a nothing name that everyone likes.
Titanic?
It could have been.
That's, I'm sure, part of why it got in our brains.
It was just in the cultural consciousness in a way that, like, every time I had the opportunity to name a sim, a character, anything, that middle name, gonna be Rose.
It's Rose. Well, I mean, okay, not to be like a huge nerd, but linguistically, it's quite nice. All of the letters, all of the sounds in Rose are approximants. There's no, like, Christina. It's like Rose. Like, it's very liquid. It's like very lovely. I stand by that fucking name.
Yeah, it's a nice name. Yeah, it's like an auditory hyphen. It's perfect as a middle name.
It's perfect as a middle name, but it is a filler.
I think Rosie is so cute.
It is really cute.
As in cotton. This is what I'm saying. It permeates the culture.
Yeah, Rosie Cotton.
What is it with Rose?
Who doesn't like roses, you know?
I mean, they're kind of whatever.
Fine.
Yeah.
Well, they're
filler flowers. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. They're very
How
expensive.
dare you?
But where the hell did Hugo come from?
Victor
Out of there?
Yeah, I honestly, truly think that it was a Hermione idea, and it was from Victor Hugo.
I will
would
say,
make sense.
Hugo's a very cute name. My next door neighbor baby is named Hugo. That's all I have to say.
Yeah,
I know a baby named Hugo.
I feel like baby Hermione, like, before she knew she was a witch, probably knew that there was something different and special about her, and read a lot of, like, old school sci-fi because she was a nerd child from a nerd family.
Sure.
And probably had a lot of Victor Hugo stuff. There's another Hugo.
Did Victor Hugo not write Les Miserables?
No, I'm thinking.
He did in the
of
Hunchback of
somebody
Notre
else.
Dame.
How
Are
is
you
that
thinking
sci-fi?
of Jules Verne?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where did I
was gonna say, I was like,
think that was related to Hugo?
If Les Mis is classified as sci-fi, then
She probably was the
You're
kind
such a
of
sci-fi nerd.
She probably was the kind of sixth grader that would read Les Mis, though.
I just think hearing all the names together makes Albus stand out more.
It does.
My favorite Victor Hugo fact, the day he died, all the whorehouses in Paris closed down.
Wait, somebody told me that like within the last 2 weeks.
What the fuck?
Yeah, no, they were all in
A
mourning.
day of mourning. Yeah.
I hope that when I die, all the Taco Bells. I hope they, signify like a dimming of the lights.
They put the flags at half mast.
A sorrowful
But-
minor chord version of the bells, the bong.
No,
They put the flags at half mast. It looks like a Virginia flag. For those who don't know, the Virginia flag has a titty on it, but you get really close, and it is Mary Clay's actual titty.
It's just me.
Only the real fans.
Why? Throughout this chapter, is it like the fog and the
I know the
din was
fog.
so thick we couldn't even see things?
Like,
It's
isn't
why?
this magic? Can you just be like, fog away a miss?
Well, also,
Yeah.
like, why? Like, narratively,
Is it
what purpose?
Is it to try and connect it to the Purgatory chapter?
I don't know, maybe that, or like maybe to
interesting.
create like even one iota of drama around like seeking the friends.
Right.
Or just a thought, she didn't want to spend much time on it. And she
Okay.
just tried to get through it as quickly as possible and saying, the scenery was such that you couldn't see anything. Sure does make that quick. So
Also,
Oh my god.
London and autumn do be foggy.
I was just gonna say, I feel like I know why she wrote it. It was because she was writing it to be adapted into a movie. at this
Oh my
point.
god, it's true.
God, yeah.
What would be cinematic?
I'm doing a timeout hand signal at this time. I think we should light the joint. The ceremonial epilogue joint. Thank you, Haley,
Speaking
for
of the
bringing it.
clouds and,
Yeah,
and the
let's do it.
fog.
I will.
I mean, we can talk while we're lighting the joint.
Will you remember me? Don't let
Don't let your life pass you by. That's Harry Potter.
something
It's like, speak what is true.
You blink.
memories.
You blink, and 19 years later, you're a cop. Everyone smoking weed right now has been smoking weed for fucking 20 years. You need to hit this joint in such a way that you don't fucking cough from it, okay? I know you can. I know you can. Okay? Or else we're gonna have to put it out, or I'm gonna take this podcast right home, okay? I'm gonna turn this podcast around and we're gonna go right home if we can't do this without coughing.
Right, but if you say that, I'm gonna cough. So
Layla, that was directed 90%
At
at
It was
you.
directed at Andrew, who just coughed.
So for this chapter basically being like a who's who of everyone who ever wanted to have a baby, they don't actually explain who these damn children belong to. Like,
Who?
they're literally like, oh, Teddy's snogging our Victoire.
Okay, Victoire belongs to Fleur and Bill.
Oh, aware, but also, who the fuck is Victoire? They're not like, cousin Victoire.
Who the fuck else would be named Victoire except
Yeah.
the
It's
French
the
person?
French kid.
They do mention, like, our cousin. Like, James keeps trying to clarify for everybody, partly the audience and partly the family, which isn't
Our
reacting to
cousin.
what he wants them
You
to.
know, it's like in books when people are like, hey sis, hey bro, and it's like, hey man, you told us once that you're siblings, you don't have to
Yeah.
keep doing this.
Yeah, this is, like, as close to a almost elegant way of doing that as I've ever seen. Like,
Yes.
for
Give a
not
character a
outright-
reason to drive it home.
Right, like...
Also, I definitely had to do the math and be like, wait, are Teddy and Victoire related? I was like, because you
know.
pause for a second and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
No, they're not related, but they would have grown up as
cousins. Yeah.
You know?
And additionally, they're like, oh, why don't we just invite him to live with us and have done with it? Where he's living.
He's been living with his grandma.
Okay, that makes sense.
It does make sense. I also think it makes sense for him at 17 to be like, I kind of don't want to do this right now and go live with emotionally underdeveloped cop Harry.
And really cool Quidditch player on Ginny. That is a factor.
She's so cool. Guys, I know this is in the movie episode, but I hate the way she looks in the movie. With her French twist graying at the temple. She's like 32. She's graying at
That's
the
the crazy
temple.
thing. They are
They went through war, Tina. I think you'd have a few grays too.
the trio is like 35 in this chapter.
Yeah.
We're almost 35.
I'm pretty free.
34.
32. Anyhow, point is,
Yeah.
none of us look nearly as bad as they aged them
I don't
up.
have a single gray.
I've got quite a few grays, I will say.
Okay, but dark hair grays faster, just based on what I've seen from my friends.
It's definitely more visible.
Also, if you keep your if you keep your face fat, it ages so much slower, guys. It's natural injections of plumper.
You got all that collagen.
Yeah, that collagen.
Save
Helps
money,
out.
stay fat.
I guess
collagen.
there's also something to be said for rolling out 3 kids apparently fucking back to back.
So, let's revisit. We already said that Ron has his driver's license, and he's like, I confunded the guy to pass me. That's fair. As a driver who earned it, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, so you don't know how to drive and you're getting on the motorway in London. That couldn't end poorly.
And what on earth? I'm a very good driver, and going to Baltimore freaks me out.
I have been in traffic on a motorway in London. He's fine. It's like, okay, like, you know how bad I-95 gets between like Fredericksburg and DC? Mm-hmm. London is like that, except they refuse to widen the roads more than like 3 lanes tops.
So a nightmare.
Yes.
I wonder how many hours of my life I've spent on that exact stretch of highway.
Yeah.
Probably like hundreds. Because I went to college on that path too.
I went to England for a grand total of 1 week, and one of those days was mostly just spent in traffic.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
You know what? If you get on a train, it just goes and goes. And all you have to do is look out the window. And that's one great thing about Europe.
Unless you're on Amtrak in the U.S. trying to get from D.C. to Richmond.
No, I know. I said Europe.
That train breaks for no reason.
Take a train through an Alp.
And stops and stops and
Take
stops.
a train through an Alp and just set your mind at ease.
That's it.
Just one Alp.
Yeah, not multiple.
That one Amtrak stop in DC does have a reason.
Does have a what?
A reason.
I mean, they all have reasons.
Okay, we can't be talking about American trains like this. Okay, so also, I thought it was a little bit interesting that Ron is like, this is the only thing I failed, was like, basically not having a backup camera, and he's like, I'm gonna use this magical spell that is basically a backup camera, right?
Yeah.
Something like that?
He forgot to check his mirror, and he's like, I can use a super sensory charm to know when I'm merging.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Because that technology has been popular since then.
And also, I can understand the logic of being like, look, I flew a car from London to Scotland
And you
to a
can't tell him.
secret castle.
And you can't tell him that.
Yeah, like, I think I'm fine.
Going back to the marrying your high school sweetheart issue and the trauma that we are inflicting upon these children, as soon as James reports that he's seen Teddy and Victoire snogging, Lily's like, oh, it'd be lovely if they got married. And it's like, that's horrifying.
I know little girls do be that way, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I know, but the fact that she's looking around at all adults who met their spouses in high school.
Yeah, it is. I'm with you.
Does anyone at this table, A, know someone who got married right out of high school that is still together?
Oh.
Or B, still talk to that person?
I know they didn't get married right out of high school, but they started dating when, like, she was a sophomore.
Oh, never forget our friend Ashley and Josh in the Discord, who I think they started dating after high school, but they've been very tight this whole time.
My friends Ryan and Kelly
met
in high school, like, dated as seniors, went to the same college, which our college was really fucking small, so that was an accomplishment. And, like, they had 1 year apart during college, but otherwise, like, they got married a couple years back, and they're still together.
It does happen.
Here's the thing. Marrying your high school sweetheart. Sure. Let's check the timeline. They had these kids at 23. We established this does not feel like a vibe where they were having kids without being married. They graduated at 17. Are we assuming they had to have gotten married sometime around, like, 19, 20?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you know, you know.
That used to be like the norm. That used to be expected.
Not at this time.
Like
It's wizard culture. It's stunted. It's stunted.
If it's heterosexual, it's
like
I was just gonna say, it's a pretty conservative culture. You know, it's like getting your MRS degree at Liberty University.
What's MRS?
Mrs.
Think about it.
Oh. Joke. Yeah. I was like master of registered
Science.
sceners. Yeah, like, I don't know.
For the listeners, there is a college in Virginia, Liberty University, which is very conservative Christian reputation, and it has this reputation of going to get your MRS degree, like ring by spring is the
Damn!
It's pretty icky.
Dude,
Yeah.
well, I was in college and the years afterwards in Norfolk, Virginia, which is like one of the biggest naval ports in the country, and every man there is looking for a wife, and that shit is stressful.
Yeah.
Military.
Military culture is still very like marry out of high school.
Yeah, it's hard to date down there.
Well, also because if you're dating your high school sweetheart and you get stationed in California,
Yeah.
you gonna get married, or she can't live on base, and you're living in a dorm.
Are we talking about this because of Ginny and Harry?
Yeah, I feel like we lost.
He's not getting stationed anywhere.
We lost for the 3
We're
seconds
talking
of plot.
about the fact that like it used to be considered very, very normal to get married like right out of high school. Like there were a couple generations where that was kind of the ideal.
Yeah, definitely my grandma did.
And also, like, think about IRL, like, the baby boom after World War II. They just ended this huge wizarding war. Life is feeling good. Everything's feeling safe. Everything's feeling stable.
All
and it's
was
like,
well.
all was well. Okay, let's all get married and have babies now because we're not going to die tomorrow.
And because so many of the population died, right?
Ooh,
Wait, I think oh shit, because I think that
I think this war was very localized towards children.
Yes, I think towards children. I think that they said in the last chapter maybe like 50 or 70 deaths, and in the Battle of Hogwarts, not that many. And I know there were other deaths happening, but it wasn't like. I don't think it was.
It's
but
still
their population is
general.
small.
It's still just the general vibes of
Okay,
like,
yeah.
Voldemort is dead. We can fuck now.
Yeah, it does feel scary to think about bringing a child into the world under a dictator, an evil dictator. Guys, that block in Audacity.
No, unusable.
It's just like a solid block of blue.
I hope you leave it.
I'm for sure gonna leave it, but I'm it's got a balance.
It's okay. Just slap a compressor filter on it. It'll be fine.
Next time we group laugh, let's whisper laugh.
No, I'm gonna do it loudly.
Leela, that's really creepy. A whisper laugh.
I have a question.
Yes, Haley.
Remember at the end of the Battle of Hogwarts when, like, the cavalry came in and it was just, like, everyone we've ever met?
Wait, when you said cavalry, I was thinking about how for a split second we see the headless Hunt going down the hallway and Haley was like, what are they doing here? They can't interact with physical matter.
That's the vibes, Haley. They're there.
Okay, to that point, I don't disagree with you, but to that point, where was the Fort Anglia?
What? Our favorite character.
Coward. It's had 5 years of no maintenance or oil changes, or it's not running.
It has so much personality, though.
I like to think that the forest elves, like Legolas, have been taking care of it, and that it has gone maybe over to the continent. You know what I mean? And is on an adventure.
But don't you know there's a war on?
He doesn't know. And we are all jealous of him. That's the thing.
Could very well be doing ambulance duty. You're not part of the
Oh my
charge.
god.
Damn.
That would be really
You
cute.
know what? You're right.
Do you remember?
I've been humbled. Thank you for pointing that out, Andrew.
Do you remember how maybe 1 to 3 chapters ago, Harry was walking down through the grounds and he saw Ginny with this girl who was maybe dying, and she was like, hold on, it's okay, you're gonna be alright. And then with the magic school bus sound effect, the Fort Anglia just falls up for this bitch.
Okay, but Miss Frizzle was a witch, though.
Hold on, but the Fort Anglia pulls up and it's like, oh, thank God you're here, and then it just shuts her in the trunk and drives off into the woods.
You have to trust him, that's part of it.
You're like, is there anyone treating anyone back there?
It's Aragog.
Do we have a reverse space? What is this?
Guys, you forgot to do Leela's whisper. A whisper laugh.
Okay.
sound like Muggsy.
So,
Oh my god.
why? Okay, why do we think the only other... So we get the Golden Trio check-in, right? Mm-hmm. We get a brief mention of Percy. Mm-hmm. We get...
Oh, yeah, because he's over there talking, and Harry's like, I'm not talking to him.
Yeah, he's like absolutely
It's like
avoiding
classical Percy. I'm glad he's back where we found him.
Yeah, because Percy's a fucking policy wonk and he's talking about, like, broomstick regulations.
Hurtful.
We get a check-in with Draco to note that he's balding.
Guys, that was
Again,
mean.
they
So
went
mean.
through war.
Don't make fun of balding, guys. They can't help it. But he did name his kid Scorpio, and I think that is something we can make fun of him for.
Scorpius.
Scorpius. You're right. I'm sorry.
Scorpio is
as a
the Simpsons
Scorpio-
character.
And an
I
astrology
it's like,
It's the
You claim him?
yes. No, it's like, it is a stupid name. I'm saying
think-
that as a Scorpio.
No, this is mean for this person
No,
to say.
What?
It sounds like something that like a freshly transitioned or non-binary mask person
You're
would come
totally
up
right.
with for a new name.
I buy that for sure.
And I say that so lovingly.
I think it's a commonly beloved stereotype that they turn to like nature, astrology, like that sort of thing.
Right. It's like the kind of thing where maybe you were in 8th grade and, you were right eventually, but like not about everything, mostly the name. So you're just going to go by Pi now.
So Albus, we can, Albie, Bussy.
No.
For Scorpius, Scorpius is pussy though.
from the top, make it drop.
Well, okay, because we've
Well,
got...
I was
They
thinking like
get into
Scorpy.
drag together.
I was thinking like Scorpy.
Yeah. Scorpius would go by just S.
Like the Superman S?
Try to.
He's like, my name's Scorpius. You can call me S.
Okay,
Nice.
as someone who frequently introduces themselves by their initials.
Yeah, but like it's
Take offense
efficient.
to that.
Can you do?
No, it's efficient for
Yeah,
you, though.
I just did that.
No, but I was
No.
saying MC.
An MC.
Okay, this is an auditory medium, and we're doing hand signs.
It's half of the
They're
YMCA.
throwing up gang signs is what they're doing. It's gang signs.
I was just gonna say, I feel like Scorpius is, that's like the two form, right? In the conjugation of Scorpio, you get Scorpio, Scorpius, Scorpie, Scorpiemos, Scorpies in Spain.
My parents used to listen to her in the car, right?
Yeah, Scorpies for when you go to Spain.
Scorpius.
Scorpion.
You Scorpius.
Scorpion.
He, she, they Scorpius.
Third grade SpongeBob.
In the extended lore, do we get a middle name for Scorpius?
Surely it's Lucius.
It's
like
Gemini.
Is it actually Gemini?
No.
Oh god, that was terrible.
Okay, here's a real additional lore name is that Percy has a daughter that they name Molly, which
That's
is
cute.
actually very cute.
I love it. Molly's the cutest name.
And like it should come from Percy.
Like, I'm so sorry.
He owes it to her.
Yeah.
Just to shed a little light here, we're actually skipping over it. Scorpius is actually both names. His name is Scorpius. That's the reason.
What?
Scorpius.
It's a bad joke.
Scorpius.
It's a bad
It's just
joke.
a very
is
bad
what's
joke.
happening.
It's a
Andrew,
terrible joke.
boo.
I didn't get it.
Okay.
There was
Brooke,
not much to get.
what are you finding about
That's all
Scorpius's middle
I
name?
just forgot that he's married. Draco's married to a woman named Astoria Greengrass. Anyhow,
What? Who's that bitch?
Why not fucking? Oh, did Pansy fucking die or some shit?
We
No,
can't all end up with our.
It just
high school
didn't work
sweethearts.
out.
Everyone else.
He met her. He's the 1% of Hogwarts students that met their spouse outside of Hogwarts.
Good for him.
he met
for
her
him.
through money. He paid for her.
Yeah.
Malfoy's child's full name is Scorpius Hyperion Malfoy.
That's so much worse.
The only thing I think of these days with Hyperion is the Disney Hyperion publishing arm, which still has a very specific energy, and that energy is Percy Jackson. It's not. It's like very. It's very
the root?
cute and silly and warm.
There's a very good coffee house in Fredericksburg called Hyperion.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah.
It's like on that little corner. Yeah.
Also, if we did the MC route and he went by just his first two initials, his nickname is now Shh.
Or all three initials, right? No. It's not Potter.
That would be I'm just imagining him going up to a girl and being like, shh, Scorpius.
No, that can't be the move.
Well, it's fine because we know that from Cursed Child, Scorpius is actually a severely shy and bullied child.
Oh,
so
right.
I don't know that. Do you know that?
yes.
You know that too?
Yeah, I've read.
Okay.
It's if
Good for him.
Same, unfortunately.
A little.
I could go into some additional lore, but
All right.
We probably don't. Then the only other adult that we check in on is Neville.
Yes, because this is like the cutest exchange in the world.
Also Hagrid.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, they're invited to tea at Hagrid's.
Oh, nice. Yes. Ginny says for James to give Neville their love. And he's like, he's a teacher. I can't give a teacher love.
I can't walk into herbology and then give the professor love.
I think that's a cute line that I've always
That's
loved.
fair.
It's also a very Ron thing to say.
Yeah.
What he's saying is, I like to be professional when he's in a professional environment.
Right?
I'm a professor.
He's gonna blush. It's gonna be weird for everybody.
I think just generally, because then we get into Thestrals. Here's my issue with this chapter. Is just, there are a wide variety of, like, cutesy callbacks, right? But the people and the events and the things that are chosen for cutesy callbacks are inexplicable. Like, why did we need a cutesy callback to Thestrals?
the horses
I
you can
know.
see when you've seen death.
And I was like sitting in that scene because it was, I don't know, it wasn't a joke, but like when Albus is like, you said they were invisible.
Yeah.
You said they were invisible. And I was kind of just walking down the street on my way to Kroger to buy some shampoo. And I was like, why does it matter if they're invisible? Like what is he even freaking out about? I feel like even like the child teasing isn't very believable because it's like, I feel like it's not if they're invisible that's scary. It's if they're there or not. I would rather be able to see them if they're there.
This should be, you said I wouldn't be able to see them.
As somebody with a long-standing fear of zombies and the undead in general, like that whole vibe, I get it. I don't, if they're there, I'm fine with not being able to see them.
But I guess I was thinking about like all the kids swarming off the train onto these carriages, and like it is actually probably really hard that half of them can't see the Thestrals as they're like milling about.
Yeah, but like most of them are probably like Harry before he could see the Thestrals being like, oh yeah, just the carriages that move themselves because they're magic.
Children, I just feel like will walk into them if they look like empty space.
Imagine being one of the like 10 or so people every year that can see them and just
know.
being gaslit by everyone.
Okay, but like
Oh.
the way that carriages are constructed is like there's arms. There's like long arms that like the horses stand between. So, like, the horse is kind of just contained within those arms, and you kind of can't run into them because you're trying not to run into these long poles that are sticking out from the front of the carriage.
I just feel like the head sticks out literally. more
Yeah,
than
and
the
then
balls.
sometimes somebody smacks their head on it and is like, did you feel that? What was that? And then everybody gaslights them because this is Hogwarts.
Okay, that'll buy. No, that'll
I think that, I don't know, I can't speak for the book, but I know that in, what's the terrible long one? Order of the Phoenix. I know that in the movie, when Harry can see them finally, they do gaslight him a bit.
Yeah.
Hermione's like, what are you talking about, Harry? There's nothing there. And then that's when Luna goes
Imagine-
like, I can see them too.
Imagine if it was invisible and you just felt it.
I know, I hate that. That's what I'm saying is I
Yeah.
hate that and I think it's noteworthy.
Yeah, but I feel like
Anyway, it's just the big brother teasing him.
I think it's normal for Hogwarts. That's a normal level of terror in Hogwarts.
No, like Haunted Mansion Ride.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna add to this, the sign-off list that Harry gives to Albus is also wild. Of all the things about Hogwarts that he's like, alright, last chance to impart some wisdom on my child before he gets on this train. Don't forget Hagrid's invited you to tea, right? Cool.
On Friday.
Don't mess with Peeves. Mm-hmm. Sure. Don't duel anyone until you've learned how.
Remember his first year?
I did note that too.
And don't let James wind you up. Pretty normal. But I'm just like, okay, you decided these were the four most important things.
He's
for
thinking,
getting to
okay,
Hogwarts.
what should I have known going in? Because he did all of these, like...
You didn't want, he's a dad. You didn't want to go and do your fucking homework?
Okay, it's this is the pressure of being the Gryffindor archetype. This is the pressure of like sending kids to school and being like, if you're not a Gryffindor, I'll fucking kill you because these are our values in this household. And like, what if you're going there and you're like, I just hope I make friends, or I just hope I get good grades.
Okay, but
and
like,
then we all
okay.
get sorted into houses and nobody learned anything.
No. Okay, I disagree. Okay, think about the kind of kid that Albus clearly is. He's insecure, he's kind of shy, he's easily intimidated, his brother's a jokester. Okay, so Harry, looking at his nerdy, weird son, is like, okay, you're not abused.
So, in Harry and Ginny's kitchen, they have a, in this house, we believe.
This is tailored advice. This is tailored advice.
We are friends with loner adults.
By the way,
We dislike other creatures. Dueling is for people who are educated, and your brother sucks a bit.
This is tailored advice specifically to this child.
Okay, I do think. Wait, okay, no, you, Mary Clay.
poor Hagrid. Shouldn't he, like, retire by now?
Thank you.
No, he's part giant. He's especially long-lived.
But, like, but I feel like
He's not that old.
it's not about his years and his lifespan at this point. It's just that, like, damn, wouldn't you be like, I went through a lot.
Yeah, but he's
I'm
living
gonna
his
take a
dream,
break.
though.
I'm gonna take your hand when I say this. The retirement age is 67. You're gonna be working for so much longer than you think you're gonna be working.
No, I'm aware that I am never going to retire. I'm gonna die probably before I get to retirement.
God, you sound like my grandmother.
We're all gonna die. I'm sorry to tell you that.
Well, that's true.
Wait.
And I want the Taco
What?
Bells to dim their lights in my honor. But what I'm saying is that, like, after the war, I think I would be like, well, fuck that. I've done enough service to this school.
Okay, but
I'm out.
he's basically, what Hagrid has been doing for most of his life, most of his career, is just when you retire and become, like, a low-level park ranger, like the person who takes tickets at the gate, that guy.
My
The
literal
Walmart-
dream retirement
The
job.
Walmart greeter of the National Park Service.
Great. You run a credit card. You go, do you need a map? Would you like our park's newspaper?
Yeah, the dream.
The dream.
He's been living the dream for most of his life, quite frankly.
And you get employee housing.
Yeah, and you get to work with monsters.
And it's a government position, so I assume the healthcare's pretty good.
And you have a bit of a community.
After imparting these words of wisdom,
Which is good advice for the kid that reminds him most of himself. Remember that time he got in a duel in first year and didn't know what a duel was?
except it's not, because the kid only cares about the one thing, which is, what if I'm in Slytherin? And Harry's like, yeah, don't duel, stay away from Peeves, and his kid's like, okay, the Slytherin thing.
No, Harry is projecting here, but...
This might be very Hufflepuff of me, but I feel like the better strategy that I've seen no one try is to attempt to befriend Peeves and like get on his good side. You know,
The twins did.
that's what I'm saying. Like it
But,
can be
like,
done.
only because you have to impress him is the thing, and, like, you can try to befriend him, but he's just gonna treat it as a game. You have to impress him if you want him to actually like you, and that's really hard.
It's just easier to not be on his bad side.
Do you think Harry impressed him at all with like all of these?
No,
noble
and that's why
doings?
Harry is saying, hey, just don't fuck with him.
Yeah, okay.
Well, here's the thing. If he's going to be impressive enough to impress Peeves, that's going to take some, like,
No,
real
he's saying
learning.
don't mess with him. He's not saying impress Peeves. He's saying just
But
don't
no,
get in
I'm
his
saying
fucking way.
that should have been the lesson, right? Is like, if you're going to mess with Peeves,
No,
you got to do it
Harry
in a
is
way
saying-
that impresses.
Oh my God.
I am begging us to move
Yeah,
forward.
you guys are both making great points. Brooke?
If this is about Peeves.
Folks, get in the comments.
One thing I also hate about this child is that the kid with the name Severus is, quote, the only one that inherited Lily's eyes. Get fucked! That is terrible.
I was in the middle of the street, and very unusual for me, it was pretty gloomy out. I wasn't wearing my sunglasses. I have this weird thing where I always wear my sunglasses when I'm out walking because do not look at me.
Yes,
but I was in the middle of a busy intersection when I read that line, and I was just standing there waiting to cross the street, and I rolled my eyes so hard, and I was like, fuck off. And then I was like, I said that out loud in public at a random intersection. But yeah, it's like who cares the whole time? Who cares the whole time about the eyes?
Did you know that eyes are special? And did you know that eyes can be green? That's all.
Yeah. I just hate that she's like, yeah, the Severus kid, that's the one with the lily eyes. I'm like, I hate you.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, that is what. So in the book, we don't know that the Severus thing done happened until this exact moment. So we get a reintroduction of like Albus had Lily's eyes, and he's like, Albus Severus, let me look in your eyes that remind me of my mom.
It's just so weird. It goes back to like too many layers.
It's
now,
all
man.
of my mom that your namesake
It
loves.
somehow circles around to being a little Freudian.
It's
Yeah, for sure.
Because why not be like, oh, we both have the same eyes.
Yes, great point.
That I got from my dead mother.
You know?
Dead mom, dead mom. People listening will understand.
Sure.
Okay.
It's that song you cried out in Beetlejuice, I think.
Okay.
It was about a dead mom.
I probably would. That sounds like me.
Anyhow, and then Harry very confidently is like, don't worry, the Sorting Hat lets you choose. You don't know that, homie.
Yeah, it happened 1 to 2 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does kind of amend it, like, Albus is like, wow, really? He's like, okay, well, it did for me.
Yeah.
I'm not, maybe it's not
Just-
universal, but it did for me.
The culture they built is just like intolerant of other Hogwarts houses.
I know.
I mean, because if you truly can choose your house, then like, what's the point?
what's the whole fucking ceremony?
Yeah.
Okay, but we've always said they're
Because-
aspirational, right? Haley?
Yes, because the whole point is that, like, it's about what you value. It's about what you aspire to. It's about what you're trying to embody.
So it's like finding the best way to motivate you. Mm-hmm. So it's like saying you should try and be better than people.
Okay, but what if the Sorting Hat knows better than you? Like, what? You're just a fucking what? Like 5 or 6 year old or what? How old are you?
It's just a
11.
You get to
11.
defend your answer, is what
I'm
Harry is
thinking of
saying.
kindergarten. So, like, you're just like an 11-year-old who's like, I want to be in the brightest house. Or, like, I want to be in the same house my family was in. But what if your dreams and inner aspirations don't match that?
Because then you end up being a Sirius Black. That's what happens.
So wait. We know from like living through this experience of AI getting better as it goes, right? And remembering how bad it was at the beginning. This hat was made so long ago. What if it's just like a basic AI hat and it's like a Pottermore quiz, essentially? Like, we're assuming it actually knows.
We did like 1 to 2 to 3 chapters ago. It got just like completely burned on Neville's head, and we were like, is the Sorting Hat dying in this
Right.
scene? And like maybe it is. Like why would it? I mean, if it's fabric,
They
and
just
it's
draw
completely
names
on
out of
fire.
a different hat.
it was Levin.
Yeah, who cares?
Also, in The Cursed Child, we do find out that he was sorted into Slytherin. So, ostensibly, he had this whole chat with Harry, and Harry was like, you can choose if you need to choose. And he was like, either it didn't work for him, or given the choice, he was like, you know what?
So what you're saying is that Harry is a dad who tries to be comforting and kind of fucks up, like most dads.
Wow.
No. I think Harry can't get out of his own little stupid pea brain enough to understand that his son is having feelings.
You're not far off. I don't fully disagree. It's just I think that he sees Albus as the one with the most of his weird personality. Like, the most awkward.
Yeah,
And he's just
because
like,
little
okay.
brothers do just be awkward. Sorry. It's a
Well,
fact of
and
brothers.
yeah,
he
he's
also
an awkward
mentions
little
that
brother.
Albus looks the most like him.
Also that.
And then we end this chapter with one last reminder that Harry's famous.
Yeah, okay, so people are like staring, and Ron says, oh, it's because I'm quite famous, which is, that's so cute and
That's
so
fine.
Ron. I like
Good
it.
looking out, bro.
Yeah.
Everyone laughs.
And then the train leaves. Okay, everybody shut up. The scar had not pained Harry for 19 years. All was well.
Alright, would you guys like to know something?
What are you singing?
The theme!
Harry Potter and
It's the theme.
song.
It's like the
Fucking Hedwig music.
That's Jurassic Park.
Here's a fun, cringy piece of my brain from I would say like 6 years ago, I was very close to getting an "All Was Well" tattoo.
I can't tell you. Okay, listen, guys.
like
okay,
the Bible verse.
my
No, just like this
like Harry
verse.
Potter. My Harry Potter cover up. I paid $1,200 to get it.
Damn.
When was that? Like May or June?
It's a
Yeah,
big piece.
wow bag.
It's a big
It
piece.
takes. It's like my whole back because I also had to cover the other shitty tattoos around it. And
It was an efficient move, I thought.
I think it's beautiful, but it also itches me really hard, like twice a month.
Still?
Yes, to this very day.
Damn, dude.
And
Those skull holes.
and my skull.
It itches whenever I'm
pained.
around. So then,
No, I know it happens weirdly at D&D a lot of the time. I've created some like mental connection.
It just right before someone tweets on X.
Guys, okay, I'm going to figuratively, let's all do it together, shut our books.
Wait,
Oh my-
wait.
Wait, are we
Open
ready?
your book. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Everyone had a book except Andrew.
I put down my audiobook player.
Forceful.
I noticed.
Mine was a paperback. Everyone else had a hardback.
The evil is defeated!
All is
Oh, wait.
well.
As I texted Christina and said, well, in your next episode after you do kill Voldemort, canonically the next line, or the line after they kill Voldemort in a Harry Potter musical is, well, chocolate frogs! Harry Potter did it, y'all!
Go Harry Potter, he did
Go,
it.
go, Harry. He's our favorite guy.
No.
Go, go, Harry. Sometimes we want to know why.
That's so much clapping.
And then Voldemort goes to visit Quirrell in prison, and then they bond again, and they live happily ever after.
Spoilers!
I did mark this book completed today in my story graph, and that was number
7.
It was number 92 of 100 for the year.
Get it, girl.
I've been reading it all year. I don't recommend taking that long to read books. It'll make you hate them.
At Tina B. Readin. Right?
Yeah, it's
That's actually very
TBR
close,
underscore.
yeah.
Good job.
Unless it's Dracula Daily, which is very well paced.
So here at the end of the epilogue, okay, well here's the thing. The fandom always talks about how people notoriously hate the epilogue. Do you guys hate the epilogue generally? 1, 2, 3? Yes.
I'm very ambivalent about it. Like, I
Ambivalent.
don't. It's not. Granted, of course. Remember, this was the first piece of J.K. Rowling that I had ever read.
Sure.
So it wasn't like I had built it up. I think for the people reading it when this book was released in summer of 2007, and there's so much build up and lead up, and like, oh my god, how's it going to end? Totally get why it's a huge letdown. But knowing, like, I knew what I was reading before I read it for the first time, like, officially. And I was just kind of like, I would say, like, it's on par with a lot of other epilogues of books.
No, you're right. Like the
where,
Hunger
like,
Games.
It's just
It's
like,
exactly like the Hunger
it's just
Games.
like, and they all lived happily ever after.
They all got married.
People love people getting married and having babies.
Yeah.
Shakespeare cracked this code.
Okay, so like
right about that.
what I would have recommended is to just cut this unequivocally.
Yeah.
Is there any other kind of epilogue that would be more satisfying, Haley?
I maybe would have liked to see, like, 10 minutes of a Christmas.
Oh, Christmas.
Oh, a Christmas would have been good with everybody just
That
like
would've been
hanging
great.
out. At
Like,
I feel like you
Because
can't
some
do
of
that
the-
seasonally if you release this in July, though.
Yeah, like, but it's the last book. You could mix up the release date. You could wait till winter this time, just this one time.
Interesting.
I could go for like a short snippet of an office drama of like Ron stopping by Harry's desk and making like a joke and then being like, I'm bringing the kids over for dinner tonight, right?
And they're both teachers instead of cops.
Yes.
Oh, yes, please.
No.
Or they're-
Ron cannot be a teacher.
Or they're both just like
Or
government shills.
He could be-
like I would love to see them mature into adults, not in the sense of we bought a house and had kids and drive a car.
Yeah.
But mature into adults in the sense of like Ron making like a shitty joke of like, watch this one might be a Horcrux. I'm joking. Anyhow, we're coming over for dinner today. You know what I mean? Like that's what I want to see. I want to see
That's
them
really cute.
processing their trauma through humor at work.
Yeah, Sean calls that passing the Delbeck test when two bros show up for each other. It's like the inverse of the Bechdel test.
Sweet. Yeah, like there's a few dynamics that are like hinted at in this epilogue that I do like. There's a few things that are just like hinted at, But overall, the whole, like, focusing on, and then everybody had babies and everything was fine.
And they all fucked.
Yeah.
Also, just like, I could not care any less at this point about kids going to fucking school. We
Yeah.
have so many
I'm
books
fatigued.
of school.
Fatigued on school, for sure.
So much school.
So, okay, since everyone's ambivalent at best about this chapter, I want to go around the circle and everyone say their favorite thing that happens in this chapter. If you feel ready, let me know.
I just like the joking camaraderie vibes of like all the different characters and in the moments where like some of the kids are getting on the train and they're looking for James is looking for Teddy and then is like, "Hi, I found him kissing," and like that's such like a, you know, little boy thing to do of just like, hey, the world is safe, kids can joke, their parents are all with them. Harry is experiencing something that he never got to experience with, like, his parents taking him to Hogwarts. So, like, that's just kind of, like, a nice concept in general, you know? Of, like, your parents taking you to, you know, to drop you off at the bus stop.
Yeah.
There's a moment that I don't think we really touched on where, right after they're talking about, yeah, but, like, what if Teddy and Victoire got together? Wait, could Teddy move into our place? No, seriously, I can move in with Al. Like, James is saying, I will move into my little brother's room.
He's a doer.
So that my cool older brother figure can take my room. And Harry, very firmly, and I think practically, he has learned well from Arthur, it would seem, is like, no, you and Al will share a room only when I want the house demolished.
It reminds me of when Fred and George used to share that little room in the burrow and they would just hear explosions.
That is what he's having Vietnam flashbacks to at this very moment.
The one thing I think that I can say I like about it is it's almost like a reference to the early series chapters, right? It's that same feel of lightheartedness and of like a lot of like innocence where you're not thinking about war and shit. And it's almost like a nice after dinner mint, right? Like it's not anything special on its own, but to like clear all that's going on before it. It's nice for that.
Yeah, I would agree. It's like, it's not exactly like, you know, the hearty stew
Right.
that on a cold, you know, September 1st day. But it's like the aperitif afterwards, right?
Well, and it reminds you of like what you came here originally for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
It's
nice
like-
little reminder. And I feel like in that way, it's very cozy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think, like, for what this series was to a lot of people up until, like, the
5 years
author-
ago.
Yeah, until the author...
When we started this podcast.
I started saying the quiet part out loud and I got very public with being an asshole, is that, like, it meant a lot to a lot of fans, and this chapter did feel like a letdown for how much it... Because, like, you don't want an after-dinner mint after a transformative literary experience that you grew up with over a series of years.
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's just kind of like mundane.
Yeah.
But in that vein, my favorite part of it is that girl's name is Rose because I'm a basic bitch and it's a cute name.
I like the giving of Neville love.
Oh, yes.
And-
very cute exchange.
Also, I will say that when I was a kid, this didn't bother me at all. Because I
Sure.
was a basic bitch child. And I was like, they got married and had babies. This is
Okay.
exactly what I, as a early teen, wanted.
Okay, because I was like, this sucks. Getting married and having babies, that's a horrible ending. And then I said, what about Twilight? That's that on steroids. Like, it's the worst possible version of that. And I was like, all right, I guess this isn't too bad if they all still respect each other and enjoy each other's company.
Oh my god, I'm just realizing this is how Lord of the Rings ends too.
Damn.
There's parallels for sure between Ron and Sam and Harry and Frodo.
In Shakespeare, tragedies end with deaths, and comedies end with marriage.
Marriage.
Right?
And this is both.
And this is both a la The Tempest, which was his final play. So this makes sense to me from a literary tradition.
Please don't ever. We redact that from the internet.
say.
We are not comparing
Sleepy Joanne.
Jaker to Shakespeare.
Sleepy Joanne isn't even relevant anymore.
True that, bitch.
We're all sleepy.
We're all sleepy. We're all sleepy. Nope. I just wanted to ask the group, how many minutes do you think it took for Sleepy Joanne to write this chapter? I'm gonna say 15.
Okay.
Controversial opinion, days. I think she went back to this over and over and over again because, like, how else do you get to such random fuck points?
Okay, there is a slow trickle of extant material that's like, do you remember when she released that thing that was a write-up that it's like a Rita Skeeter talking about like the next Quidditch World Cup? Like it was in like
I believe
South America. And I think that was like a potential alternative ending because that also touched on a lot of characters. I think she had a lot of different versions, and this is just like the one that, like, I think she like let some editors vote on it or something.
Interesting.
Well, that actually makes a lot of sense because she was notorious for like hating writing the Quidditch scenes, right? So a World Cup would be a perfect way to like say who all's alive, who all's dead, who's gotten married, all
Because
that type
Rita
of catch-up
Skeeter
shit.
is desperately trying not to talk about the Quidditch match.
Right, but at the same time, if she hates writing the Quidditch, she's never going to be able to do that. That's interesting.
Anyone else have any ideas how long it took her to write this chapter?
I don't have any input on that, but I just remember that there was some, I don't know, like documentary or like hour-long TV special on ABC or something when this came out, or like roughly after it came out, about like the last year in writing Harry Potter or something, and it like followed her as she was like finishing writing it.
Oh, really?
There's some random, she was like in a hotel room writing it, and she like type, and then was like, yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm done. And they're like, and that's it? You're done? And she's like, yeah, I think I just finished Harry Potter. And
That's us
sounds
right
very
now.
familiar.
Yeah.
I remember that. That's very familiar.
But it's like, here's
That's
the thing. From an insider publishing perspective, that moment happens like 3 or 4 times.
sure, yeah. Well, actually, I don't know with her. I feel like she could have turned it in and they would have been like, great, no edits.
Yeah, like from a writer's perspective, there is a point where you're like, for the first time, I have done it to the end. And like, I think that's what that was.
Yeah.
You know?
And
And
I think that I have no inkling of what that hotel is called, but I'm pretty sure like they have like a plaque in that room that's like J.K. Rowling
J.K.
finished
Rowling. That's
writing
cute.
Harry Potter here.
If only she wasn't such a
If
bitch, but it
only-
is really cute.
It'd be cooler if it was like J.R.R. Tolkien finished writing Lord of the Rings
Way
here.
cooler if J.R.R. Tolkien had already did.
Pubs or something that have plaques.
Yeah,
like
there's
that?
a pub that's like Tolkien came here sometimes.
Do we think that she intended the epilogue? Or do we think that that was like an editor being like, can we epilogue this?
I think it smacks equally of author hubris needing to be like, I know what they did 19 years later, and editors being like, this is for kids, you have to show them like happy and married.
Because like the book otherwise ends with, you know, Harry saying, I think, you know, I've had enough trouble for a lifetime.
That's a good ending.
It's a
great
really
ending.
wonderful ending.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I imagine it might have been not dissimilar to How I Met Your Mother, which is that they started the show and already knew the ending. And despite the fact that the show had evolved between when they came up with the ending and then, like, I don't know, 10 years later, 8 years later, they kept the same ending, and it like did not fit the vibes or like the character development at all. So I bet, and then I also say this as like someone who writes as a hobby, where like you come up with, like as a writer, you come up with scenes and ideas that live in your head for months, and then you like write it down and you're like, yes, this is a special scene that finally came to fruition. Okay, now how do I connect it to everything.
And then sometimes you name a character Renesmee, and then you start figuring it out.
And this is what is meant by kill your darling.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine that, like, she probably had, like, a lot of ideas of, like, how this could end, of, like, this epilogue, this, like, fairy tale vision in her head of, like, oh yeah, the trio's grown up, they're sending their kids off to Hogwarts, and that's how it ends.
When part of the marketing for this series from the very beginning was how planned out everything was, right? Like, I don't know if y'all remember, but whenever a new book or movie was about to come out, they always made like a special that talked about how she'd been planning this and stupid.
Well,
and, like,
she claims she wrote the last chapter, like, first. Like,
But that's the thing, like, which is the last chapter? That's the thing.
it cannot possibly be this fucking episode.
No.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like
Yeah.
the last chapter was meant to be the last chapter.
Yeah.
It feels quite tacked on.
Yeah, totally.
it could be if the name for the Malfoy love interest was changed, and that's part of the reason that, like, it doesn't sound right, is if they changed the name at some point from whatever it was to Pansy Parkinson.
No, what I think happened here is that this epilogue is tacked on, and it goes over all their kids, because there's a Scholastic editor on their knees like, please leave room for sequels.
And you know what?
Franchise men.
Yes.
And you know what?
Yeah,
They did
they did.
because she wrote The Cursed Child, which is now not just one, but it is actually it is a 2-part play.
Yeah. So this feels like
And it's very successful, actually.
This was the most franchisable of the possible epilogues, I think.
Yes, it feels like even if there were multiple epilogues, this is, whatever. This is setting up, like, Harry Potter babies. You know what I mean?
Yep, I hate that. Okay, so that's the end of the epilogue. I hate that. We're not doing plugs. There's 6 of us. We're not fucking.
Okay, yeah,
Do you
yeah.
remember? We used to do 6 people's worth of plugs. So we got
People still stuck with us.
We got a review once 4.5 years ago that was like 15 minutes of Netflix recommendations at the end of every episode.
That was fair. That was fair. That was a very... That whole review was
being like,
extremely
hey
fair.
guys, Great British Bake Off is such a fun show. I really recommend it.
I'd like to plug finishing a book. It's the end of
Finish
the
a
year.
book.
You deserve it. Finish a book.
Okay. Go listen to Burn Before Reading, because this podcast is ending. So go listen to my other, I'm not going to say better, but you guys have heard the audio quality of this episode. It's going in the garbage. Go listen to Burn Before Reading.
And sometimes all of the other people on this episode are on it too.
Yeah, you never know.
More of our dulcet tones.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, guys, wait. What are we supposed to say? What comes after we kill Voldemort?
Chocolate frogs! Harry Potter did it, y'all!
Alright, another round of applause. We did it, guys.
Wait, you can actually say it now.
What? Chocolate frogs?
No, get the fuck out of my house.
Oh my god. I'm gonna leave. Get the fuck out of my house.
Oh, we love you too.
That's it, potheads. Thanks for listening to The Restricted Section. Hosted and produced by me, Christina Kahn. Theme music produced by Ryan Kahn. Logo designed by Michael Hardison. Please don't find us on social media. I am not doing anything there. However, you are welcome to join our Patreon. For $1 a month, you can gain access to our Discord server, which is a lot of fun. And for $5 a month, you get access to our monthly bonus episodes. There's also a $10 and a $20 tier as well, so please go check that out. We are honored to be part of Deus Ex Media Podcast Network, which features lots of wonderful podcasts for nerds, including this one. I'm Christina Kahn.
And I'm Leela Hilton,
And this is Burn Before Reading,
the podcast about shiterature.
We're here to examine the terrible writing we did when we were younger.
Like that school project you were really proud of.
Or that poem you wrote when you got dumped.
Well, how about that apology letter you wrote to your mom when you got into that fight?
Or the song you recorded before you knew how to write music.
Okay, don't at me. And we're here to talk about other cringy literary topics along the way.
Like the Library of Alexandria.
And Dewey Decimal.
His name was Melville Dewey.
Oh, well, do we want to get the clips rolling?
I don't think I ever recovered from this in terms of being cool.
Why did I say any of this?
I do like the drama.
So there is actually quite a bit to unpack here.
Oh, all this drama was so addictive as a teenager.
There's no punctuation to it. I'll start with that.
I actually have no memory of this.
There were so many lies that I was telling.
It's not terrible.
No one really taught me how to write a good short story.
That was a journey.
Listen to Burn Before Reading
Every Wednesday, wherever pods are cast.
Wow. Wow. Wait, can I get a clean cut of you saying the end?
The end.
No, it's not gonna sound
Okay, but you have to leave that in. Can I get a clean cut of you saying the end? The end.
No.
I was gonna say, and would you believe that all was well?
It is.
It isn't at all.
It's not well.
Would you believe?
Sound, Tina. Just fake was part of the conversation.
Would you
not
believe
well.
that all was a disaster?
It's really bad.
And that's where it ends.
And would you believe? Fuck!
Yeah, I would say it's like all is well.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Dave X Media.